Alright, welcome back. Today we're covering the season finale of It Welcome to Derry. This is it. I can't believe it's almost over. If you haven't yet, please take a quick second, subscribe to the channel. I greatly appreciate it. Let's head into the fog. The season finale starts off with the entire town being covered in a dense fog. It kills every plant it touches and people are running from it. But we also see one lady with a creepy Pennywise smile and a red balloon behind her watching from inside one of the shops. We see the military using its radar to monitor how fast it's spreading. The mist reaches Derry High School, and we see Pennywise's bloody hand press the intercom button, telling all the kids that school's canceled, but the younger students should still come to the gym for an assembly. All the kids walk in, including Bert the Turtle. The doors close, the lights go down, and we see the principal being used as a puppet to introduce Pennywise on stage. The curtain opens up and Pennywise literally has his hand in the teacher's back, using him as a puppet. He rips the head off and throws the body into the crowd as the kids run to the door, but they're all locked. He drop kicks the principal's head out the window and does his signature dance on stage. The kids look on terrified as he stops dancing and starts singing. Now, last week in my trailer breakdown, I predicted this background could either be Pennywise's crash site, the inside of his trailer, or maybe a stage in the gym. So it's safe to say we nailed that one, boys. Anyways, he finishes the song, opens his mouth, and the dead lights take all the kids, showing exactly how powerful he's become, being able to take all those kids at once. He then opens up the back of the stage to reveal his cart waiting for them. Marge, Lily, and Ronnie are up in the standpipe when they notice the mist rolling in through the entire city. They walk outside and turn around to see the standpipe covered in missing children posters. They're all kids from their school. Pennywise has a whole trail of kids floating behind his cart while he sits in the front playing his tuba like he's the Pied Piper or something. The girls arrive at the school to find the principal's head outside and his body inside on the gym floor still. They find a missing poster for Will and discover a trail of blood leading away from the school. They decide to follow it, and Marge says she's gonna kill this fucking clown, just like Richie said in chapters 1 and 2, as a kid and an adult. But all three of them are trying to ride one bike and it's not really working out. That's when they stumble upon a dead milkman and decide to take his truck. And of all people driving, it's old one-eyed Marge. Leroy tries to call Will at home, but nobody answers. As soon as he hangs the phone up, Pennywise calls back, laughing at him, and asks him what scares the man without fear. That's when Leroy hears Will calling for help on the other end. He flips out and screams at Pennywise, who just laughs and hangs up on him. Halloran's in his room tripping out. There's dead people everywhere, and they're all coming for him. Dick picks up his gun just as Leroy starts knocking on his door. He's got tears in his eyes and he puts the barrel in his mouth. He can't take this anymore. Right before he can end it, Leroy busts in and stops him. But Dick is yelling at the voices to shut up. He says his mind's all messed up and he's about to off himself again when Leroy screams that it took Will, and Leroy begs for his help. Dick finally lowers the gun and puts it on the table. Shaw and his crew are still monitoring the mist as it expands across the river. You can actually see the dead tree on the bank if you look closely. Fuller comes in and tells him Hanlon went AWOL and took Halloran with him. Leroy and Dick arrive at Rose's house and Charlotte learns that it took Will. She doesn't take it very well and calls Leroy a liar. Rose interrupts them, saying that they don't stand a chance against this creature. But if Halloran can use his shine to find this one last artifact, they might have a shot. If they can find the dagger, they can use it to replace the lost pillar. But there's like a limit on the distance the dagger works because it has to be able to connect with the other pillars, so the furthest point it can go from the other pillars is the old tree on the other end of the river. So they need to get the dagger there and bury it to use the earth as the conductor to connect with the other pillars. Boom. Nailed that explanation. But Halloran cuts them off, saying he can barely think. He can't find a dagger. Rose tells him that she can help quiet the voices in his head, but he has to trust her. She crafts him up a tea made of maturin root, saying it will connect him to the dagger's energy, as well as all things in the realm where it came from. He drinks it in one gulp, and that's when Rose decides to try and warn him about something. But he can't hear because he starts tripping out. Probably should have shared that little tidbit of information before they started. The girls are still following the trail of blood in the milk van, but when they hit a pothole, Marge loses control. They crash into a tree and the dagger falls out onto the ground. Lily panics when she can't find it. Marge spots it and goes to pick it up, but Lily screams at her not to touch it. The other girls tell Lily she's acting weird, and she puts the dagger back in her bag. Now Dick just saw this entire thing through his vision, and he's screaming as Rose is trying to comfort him. He says he can see the dagger, the girls are fighting over it, and they're going after Will. They all pile into Rose's van and take off. Dick says he can sense it, they're getting close. Rose explains the fragment is a piece of its ship, and the further it gets from the other pieces, the more it messes with your mind. She says it's going to try and resist and fight back with a force you could never imagine, kind of like the ring in Lord of the Rings. The girls walk and Lily follows behind, The dagger's making her act weird, and she calls Marge and Ronnie out for looking at her crazy. She says a bunch of mean stuff to both of them, and when Ronnie tries to take the dagger from her, she runs off. They catch up and tackle her as Lily screams on the ground. Ronnie finally snaps her out of it when she grabs her face and reminds her that she's a lifeboat from that conversation a few episodes ago. Lily cries and says she's sorry. They agree to trade off who holds the dagger so no one has time to completely go crazy. That's when a mist comes in and they follow it to see Pennywise's cart in the distance, with a huge trail of floating kids following behind it. They head onto the ice towards the cart. In the van, Dick says he can see everything and the kids are floating on ice. He can see Pennywise. Leroy asks him if he can get into Pennywise's head like he did before, but Dick's out cold. The girls run across the ice, following the trail of floating kids until they find Will all the way in front. Suddenly, Pennywise's cart stops and the girls jump to try and reach Will. The door opens and blood pours out as Pennywise reveals himself, honking the horn that he stole from Ingrid at the Black Spot. He says he has a spot for all of them, but as he approaches, Ronnie ups the dagger on him, stopping him in his tracks. He backs up into the mist, but then he starts running circles around him. That's when he reaches out and grabs Marge's leg, yanking her into the mist. He corners her on the ground and tells her she's going to be a Tozier in the future, giving birth to a boy named Richie. He pulls out a missing poster for her son she hasn't given birth to yet, and she cries. He reveals he already knows about them killing him in 27 years. His time isn't linear. In fact, his death could be his birth. Tomorrow and yesterday are the same thing to him.
It's all the same for little Pennywise.
He sees everything at once, and if he kills Marge now, Richie and his friends can't kill him later, which also explains the next two seasons in 1935 and 1908. He keeps going back in time to previous cycles trying to prevent his death. That's crazy. Then he says beep beep to Marge, which is a cool nod to the original Losers Club. They used to say beep beep to Richie. He goes in to eat her, but freezes at the last second. Marge gets up and runs back to Lily and Ronnie. All the kids that were floating fall to the ground and wake up as Rose's van pulls up. Taniel directs all the kids back to town and Leroy gets the dagger from Ronnie. He gives it to Taniel and they head towards the south bank together in case the dagger tries to resist. They find the tree, but as they approach it, the military opens fire, wounding both of them. Everybody looks on in terror as the kids run out after them. Shaw watches from afar with binoculars and orders his men to take them into custody. Taniel dies from his neck wound as the kids arrive. Leroy gives Will the dagger and tells him he has to bury it under that tree. If he does, all of this will stop. But he's terrified. Leroy tells him he believes in him and he loves him. He can do this. Will and the kids run off as Shaw's men approach. Now Pennywise is still frozen and we get a look into his head. It's back in 1908 and he wakes up inside his cart with the traveling circus barker, Ingrid, and the other acts asking him if he's okay. He doesn't know where he is. They keep calling him Bob Gray, but he says he's the eater of worlds. He's a god. That's when the carnival barker slaps the shit out of him and bullies him back into the corner. Now the dagger is growing super bright as they get closer to the tree, and suddenly Will stops. He looks at the dagger, turns, and runs back saying he has to bring it home, and the other kids try to wrestle him down. That's when Shaw approaches frozen Pennywise and tells him whatever Halloran has done to him, he's gonna fix it. Just having that come out of my mouth made me feel like an idiot. Shaw's a moron. The military finds Dick passed out in the van, and when they shake him, we snap back into Pennywise's head. His cart shakes, and Pennywise realizes the carnival barker is really Dick. He got into his head and has been gaslighting him this entire time, telling him he's Bob Gray to buy the kids time. Pennywise Spartan kicks him out of his cart, and Dick falls onto the ice in present day. Pennywise unfreezes. Shaw tries to talk to him like an idiot, and Pennywise bites his face off after turning back into the skeleton man that scared Shaw as a kid. All four kids wrestle the dagger towards the tree. Pennywise skips past the grown-ups in slow motion on the ice and heads towards the kids. All at once, Hank, Dick, and Leroy attack the guards and disarm them. Pennywise skips past the kids, telling them so long, losers, but that's when Leroy blasts his head apart with a rifle and his body drops. Another head pops out and Leroy shoots that one too. A third head appears, but Leroy's out of bullets and the deadlights take him. Pennywise starts to crawl towards the tree, but the kids are almost there. They try to stick it in the ground, but it won't let them. It's resisting. Suddenly, Dick and Rose look over at the same time to see the war chief approaching. He has a kid with him. Does that mean Rose has the Shining too? That would explain how she knew to get rid of the voices. Holy shit, the kid with the war chief is Richie.
What do you see?
A motherfucking miracle.
He sprints to the other kids, giving Pennywise the finger as he passes him on the ground and helps put the dagger in its place. Not crying, you're crying. Rose fires her rifle at Pennywise as he mutates into a giant bird and flies directly at the kids. Just as he's about to swoop down, they get the dagger into the ground, activating the other pillars and blowing Pennywise back onto the ice. He starts to get up, but his body deteriorates and cycles through different forms before exploding and the deadlights retreat. The kids look at each other and they all say they felt Richie helping them. Later on at Richie's funeral, Marge gives a heartfelt speech about friendship, and Dick looks on from a distance to see Richie in the crowd with his arms around Will and his dad. After everyone gets up, Dick sits down next to Richie's parents, who could sense a hand on their shoulders. Dick tells them it's their son Richie, and he's always going to be there, finally using his powers for good.
Who are you, sir? I'm still working on that.
Lily finally visits her dad's grave for the first time and tells him about her new friends. Later, Marge opens up to Lily about what Pennywise said to her, about her son killing him in the future. If time is different for him, he could go back in time further to try and stop them from being born, just like he did this time. They agree that's just gonna have to be someone else's battle. As Leroy and his family pack, Dick stops by and says that root worked on the voices, hopefully forever. He has a plan to go work for a friend who owns a hotel. He's gonna be a chef in the restaurant. And then he drops the line,
How much trouble can a hotel be?
"Whew, Dick, if you only knew. If you only knew." The two of them hug and they agree to keep in touch. Leroy tells Rose the military allowed him to walk away as long as he kept his mouth shut about what happened. She asks if he and Charlotte want to stay here with them to help guard the pillars, but Leroy declines. Ronnie and Will discuss leaving and potentially forgetting about Derry. They say everybody who leaves here forgets about it. That's when Ronnie interrupts and kisses him. Charlotte tells Leroy she wants to take Rose up on her offer, and they agree to stay. Will writes Ronnie a letter, hoping that if he writes her enough, she'll remember him. At Juniper Hill, we see Ingrid Kirsch going crazy, and the only thing that calms her down is when they play a song for her. Flash forward 26 years later, and she's still in the same room listening to the same song, painting a picture of her periwinkle sleeve as an old woman. She hears commotion down the hall and follows the cries to find Alpheidra Marsh has permanently clocked herself out. In the room, we see a young Bev comforting her father on the floor when he pushes her off. Bev turns around with tears in her eyes, and Ingrid tells her, no one who dies in Derry ever really dies, and just smiles at her as Bev looks on crying. Which also explains why Pennywise took that form when Bev returned to Derry as an adult. She was there when her mother died and just added to that childhood trauma. In a different editing room, this entire season could be a crazy backstory on Ingrid Kirsch. Now, hand up, I'll admit I was way off predicting that Lily was gonna be Bev's mom. But who do you think I am? What do you want from me? This show was so good. It expanded the lore of Pennywise so much. The idea that he goes back in time and tries to prevent his death each cycle is such a dope concept. And it actually makes it so we're not even going back in time. We're seeing things in the same order that Pennywise would see it in. It's such a cool formula. They tied so much together with this series, and despite the fact we're never going to see most of these characters again, I can't wait for season 2. I appreciate you guys for joining me on this 8-week journey. The first YouTube video I ever dropped on here was for episode 1, so it's been a cool little ride to get here. If you made it this far, please take a second, like the video, subscribe to the channel. It helps me out a lot. I appreciate each and every one of you for being here. Thanks for watching.